Back here on the ML Sports Platter, it's all brought to you by our good friends at Stanley Law Offices, CH Insurance, and Burn Dairy. Make sure you hit up your participating locations at Burn Dairy in Central New York. Gas up your vehicle, of course. They got the chocolate milk for the kids, and you know those donuts and coffee on the way into work as well. We bring him in, my good pal, Scott Pitoniak, the best-selling author, and, of course, columnist. You can get them all over social media platforms and, of course, the Business Journal via Rochester. Scott, welcome aboard here, man. It's our first video, back and forth interview here, and it's a blast to have you aboard the platter again, my man.
It's great seeing you, Mike, and I'm trying to see what you got on the wall there. I love that. I see what are the different things. So
yeah, there's a lot going on in the back. If you can see as I'm moving on, you got the whole collage there, and it goes all the way around the man cave into a Sabres and hockey thing. And then, this was the room that my mom taught in. So there's my guitar that I played a little bit and my trombone, which I played for a long time. I picked that back up a little bit, and then a tribute corner to her. And as you know very well, loss sucks because you've been dealing with it too, my man.
Yeah, it's a difficult time, and you just got to embrace the memories and enjoy every day, squeeze everything you can get out of every single day.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So just to kick things off here, people who don't know, Scott has written a million awesome books, obviously, and his newest one here with Rick Burton, Invisible No More. This is a huge book for people, though, historically, because honestly, Scott, if you could just spend a minute or two, this is on a figure in terms of Sadat Singh who people really need to know about, in my opinion, especially where I'm sitting in Central New York, a place that's near and dear to your heart. You're from Rome and a graduate of SU. This right here, baby, is history, man.
Yeah, Sadat Singh still remains, for the most part, like a lost figure in history. Yes, his number is retired and hangs from the rafters in the dome. But I dare say, every time I go and sit as a civilian in the stands, and I ask people, they look up there, they know who Sherman Douglas is, and they know, Derek Coleman, and obviously all the other greats, and then they see this name, Sadat Singh. Who is that? And I swear, you could have 35,000 there for a Duke game, and I could find maybe 200 diehard longtime Syracuse fans who would know who Wilman Sadat Singh is. So he is one of the greatest athletes in Syracuse University history and beyond, actually, that nobody knows of. And his life is so much more than him also just being a incredible athlete. I mean, he's Jim Brown before Jim Brown. He's Bo Jackson before Bo Jackson. He's Deion Sanders before Deion Sanders. And he's also a scholar, a true scholar. He's a pre-med student at Syracuse University. He's compared to the two best quarterbacks of the time. It would be like he was compared to Sammy Baugh and Sid Luckman. So that would be like, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes today you would be compared with, but would not have a chance to play in the NFL because they actually banned blacks back then in the late 30s. Here's a guy who played on was a great basketball player at Syracuse, and he also played on the Harlem Wrens, who in the pre-NBA days were the world championship basketball team. They were it. And then he was also a Tuskegee Airman, and he gave his life for a country in which he didn't have full citizenship. So he's a guy that Rick and I have known about, had on our radar for a long time, wanting to do a book about him. And we did it as a historical novel because there was so little on the record from him back in the day.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff that you guys did this thing. I kind of dabbled skimming here and there, but I'm diving in. This is my next book. Right now I'm reading a book on the UCLA Kingdom on Fire with Alcindor and Walton and all those guys having to win those championships and that crazy winning streak of well over 80 games with all the nonsense going on in our country and overcoming a lot of that. And then I'm diving right into this one. I just came off of Roland Lazenby's bio on Magic Johnson, which was 788 pages. So, dude, you know how vociferous of a reader I am, and I've loved your books for so long, and I can't wait to dive in, and I appreciate you sending me this right here. We transition. What's next for the Buffalo Bills?
Wow. Well, they've got some, their capologists are going to be working overtime. As you well know, Mike, they're 50 million over right now. And yeah, the cap could go up. I'm assuming it's going to go up, so they'll have a little more wiggle room there. But there's going to be some dramatic changes and some hard decisions made. There's no way around it. I think there's some easy things to do right off. You restructure Josh's contract, Josh Allen, and you save 22, 23 million right off the bat. But, there's some other things you can do and stuff, but you're not going to have a lot of room to work with in terms of making any big splashes in free agency. You're going to have to draft extremely well. You're going to have to hit on guys who are going to have to be contributors right away, just as you had with, Osiris Torrance. Was a great draft pick for them last year and played extremely well on the line. But you're going to have several of those now. Because the bill come due, and for the Buffalo Bills, there's no way around it. And you've got some difficult things going on. You've got an onerous contract with Von Miller that there isn't a lot you can do with it, Mike. People say, "Oh, just cut him." Well, you want that dead cap on there? You should really just try to get something out of him, hopefully. And then Stephon Diggs. A typical offseason with Stephon, right? We got to have cryptic remarks because that's what he loves to do. But there's no, real way like, just get rid of him. He's a prima donna. Well, you don't have a number one receiver. And yes, his performance really did go into a swoon in the second half of the season. And you worry about that. He's going to be 31, I think, in November. You really don't have any choice but to pray that he gets his head on straight, comes back and works hard again, and then still has quite a bit left in the tank. That's the only thing he can do.
Yeah, and I would look at, there's a couple of easy. I say easy, nothing's easy, but I guess a few things are easier than others. The salary cap is always the big NFL. Oh, the cap. I keep trying to tell people the cap is only the cap until it's not, meaning you can just cut people at any time. Now, you can cut players and you save money, but obviously you got to fill those holes. But you can save money. It's not impossible here. And to me, it's very simple in terms of, and you got to strike in the draft, no doubt. I'm so with you on that. Younger, cheaper, and immediate return on the investment, immediate return on your draft. You got to find those instant Christian Benfords again, the instant Dane Jacksons, the instant Osiris Torrances, the instant guys to put around JA-17. You got to get another receiver, maybe two. I think there's two real easy ones here, and I know it's going to hurt Bills fans to hear this, and you know where I'm going because you're nodding right away. Right. The first draft pick of the regime is Trey White. He's got two major injuries, Achilles and ACL, and Dawson Knox. I know Dawson Knox is Josh's buddy. I know that I feel bad what happened with his brother. I know that he's a great locker room guy. Bills fans love him. But this is the hard game you play. Scott, if you cut those two guys, you're immediately in the 25 million saved area. And Dawson Knox, to me, does nothing besides block during the regular season and a couple of big catches in the big games, which is great. But now you got this guy named Dalton Kincaid who should be able to do that. And Trey White, sorry, he's just not that Trey White where for maybe a year and change, he was the best corner or one of the top three corners. I would cut those guys immediately. Again, over 30, expiring contracts, Knox, Trey White, I think that's where you start. You got to get younger, cheaper, faster, better right now.
Yeah, I agree. And the White, divorce would be extremely tough because I understand he was their first prominent pick. I get it for this regime. And he's a guy who's worked extremely hard. But you're right. Sadly, his career has just been shortchanged here by two injuries. And those are two leg injuries. He wasn't back to being, Trey White even before he had the second one. And now you really got to wonder if he's ever going to get even close to being that. And, you made a great trade during the season of getting Rasul Douglas. I think it was a brilliant move, and that enables you, that gives you the opportunity to make this kind of move, drastic move here with, we got to say bye, Trey. I'm sorry. I know it's a brutal business. Now you're still going to inherit, some dead money as a result of that. But there's no easy way up through this. There really isn't. And so you've got to make those tough calls. Now, some people say, well, now you can't do your 12 personnel if you cut Knox. Big deal.
Spread it out.
So big deal. You get another tight end, and when you want to do your 12 personnel, and get a blocking tight end on the cheap. So
yeah, there's no doubt about that. I know you are, and again, Scott Pitoniak with us, the best-selling author and columnist here on the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by our good friends over at Rosie's Corner and Camilla's Golf Club. The Super Bowl window is probably almost as overused as system quarterback and what else culture, all these different things that we hear a million ways to Sunday, or now we're in the draft part, right? The combine, the slow period that last week where we're waiting for the second week for the real buildup of the Super Bowl. And now we're talking Senior Bowl and size and strength and IQ and football moxie, right? All these things that are overused. So Super Bowl window, though, the Bills, some say they're out of it. Some say they're still in it. I know you say they're still in it because they've got the quarterback. I know that. I go the other way because sometimes it doesn't matter if you have the quarterback. If all the other parts are failing you over and over again, that's number one, from the head coach on down to players, including aforementioned Stephon Diggs, not making plays. Number two is there's the dude over in Kansas City who's Michael Jordan at quarterback right now. And sometimes you live in an era where you're Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, John Stockton, Karl Malone, Clyde Drexler, Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, and you don't win because MJ won 6. And the third one is I just look at the way the league is right now, and everything is getting tougher and tougher as usual every year. But now we add extra layers of things that didn't happen last year, like Jim Harbaugh's involved and Joe Burrow will be back. Those are the reasons why I think there might be that much room in the window or it's shut, despite my favorite player, my guy, Josh Allen, who you and I both love. Those are the reasons I would tell you. Nope. Oh, wait, there's one more. It's Buffalo sports.
Well, yeah. The curse is of Buffalo being a Buffalo sports fan. You make great points. The league's getting better. The AFC, believe it or not, is getting better. As you mentioned, look out for, I was going to call them the San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers with Harbaugh there. He's going to do wonderful things, I think, and finally get Herbert to be Herbert. I mean, the guy's got tremendous talent. There's no denying it. Patrick Mahomes, is a hurdle that there are some hurdles you can't leap. But I still think they can. If Stephon Diggs catches that bomb, if some of these other things go that way, that game, they don't win that. Kansas City doesn't win that game. I mean, it's just. But you got to make those plays, and you got to be that. I still think, with Josh being at the age he is, 27, I still think your window is, as long as you do have a quarterback. But we'll see. Like I think you raise a good point about the coaching, and McDermott is 5-6 in the postseason, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And you can waste a generational talent. I've seen other coaches and managers do it. So I have concerns about that. I mean, there's no denying that, McDermott has done an incredible job in rebuilding this franchise. There's no question about it. But yet, I still wonder about in the postseason, and until you show you can win that game, and like Andy Reid. For most of his career, and now all of a sudden he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats. He's, and this will be part of his legacy this coming Sunday as well. Will contribute to that, in fact. So, yeah, you raised some great points. I still believe in Josh, but at what point here? If the Bills, if the Bills don't make the playoffs, which I think would be ridiculous, but if they don't make the playoffs next year, or they have a one and done, or they lose in the divisional round or whatever, we're going to hear more talk again about McDermott. And now, I don't know if Terry Pagula would make a change. I just don't see him doing that. He's paying a lot of Sabres coaches to not coach, right? And so I don't know if I would go that far yet. It would be hard to make that call, but we'll see. We'll see. Again, Josh is there, and so the window is still open for me, and as long as it's at least open just a smidgen, there's hope, right?
Baseball to close. we were texting when the Hall of Fame class came out, and you were like, and I kind of was in agreement. And I started to read more and think more and dive in more. I don't know. I kind of like it. I mean, Leland is one of those throwback dudes. But the three players, man, Adrian Beltre, 3,000 hit club, got better in his 30s, played for multiple teams, all around great player, really good dude. You got Joe Mauer in there who, listen, I think he's a Hall of Famer because I think he has a Koufaxian catcher career before he moved to first base. I don't think he's a first ballot guy, however, but you can't argue with those numbers over 10 years. You can't argue with 7 batting titles won by catchers. He's got 3 of them. I think he'd be maybe more of a 4th, 5th ballot kind of guy. And I thought Ted Helton should have been in a long time ago. I don't care about the Coors Field thing. I mean, you look at the home road, the splits, the all-around player there, and I thought Larry Walker maybe would have helped him get in. We see that sometimes. I actually, again, I don't love the class, but I don't think it's terrible. I think there's more there. I think there's more meat on the bone than maybe I saw initially. How about these 3 guys? And anything else for you that's jumping out that I'm missing here?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, Mauer, again, unprecedented with 3 batting titles for a catcher. First ballot, no, I think it might still be kind of thin, the resume to me he's not a first ballot, but it kind of eked in, so it wasn't like overwhelming or whatever. I would disagree a little bit with. I mean, Helton is a Hall of Famer, but I do think there were some dramatic splits there. Like he was, he's far superior hitter in the thin air of Coors Field. Now, having said that, it's not his fault, right? It's just like, a schedule here. This team's got an easy schedule. Well, it's a schedule I was given, So, I beat up on some teams, whatever. I'm fine with all of it. And Beltre he's first ballot. There was no question on that. I totally agree. I'm really looking forward to, next year to have Ichiro is a no-brainer, and then CC, Sabathia, and you might have a couple of these guys who came close this year.
Wagner's going to get in.
Wagner, right. But I think I am so looking forward to that, Mike, because I think you're going to have 30 or 40,000 people from Japan there for that ceremony. I think it's going to be unbelievable. I really do. And I love the fact that Ichiro, as great a player as he is, he has such an abiding love for the history of the game. He's given his whole thing. He had the relationship with Jeff Idelson when Jeff was the president of the Hall of Fame. Because I'm giving you everything. I'm giving you everything I have. And I love that. I love guys who have an appreciation for the history of their sport. I really do.
Yeah, Ichiro, I remember going to see him play in Yankee Stadium in 2005. I got a press credential, and I told, my dad and I went down. And this was back when my dad and I were going to a lot of Yankee games, fresh out of college. When I was in high school and college, it was like a 10, 12-year stretch. We were going every year somewhere, usually New York every year, but Cleveland certainly. It was like 6, 7, 8 games a summer. And I told him, I said, I really, really want to apply for this, early August credentialing, not for the Yankees. The Yankees were really good still then, of course, even though, it took a few more years to win it all again. But they were still in the heyday of a lot of the big players, and Jeter and Mo and those guys were there. It was because of Ichiro. I said, I want to get this credential. I want to go see this dude play. I got to see this guy. He's so unique. And I still remember watching him play through the years. It's just an unbelievable, a ninja out there playing baseball in the cannon in right field and, hitting. And if he had mastered 20, he could have mastered 20 home runs a season. They said if he wanted to. What a player, what a unique talent. And that is going to be a class for the ages in 2025. All right, final thing here, more baseball. I just don't know how, they get Juan Soto, the Yankees, but I don't know where to look to go, wow, they're better. Because even with Soto, he'll help the offense, but is it going to be drastic? The pitching, they're getting Cortez back, okay, Rodon, injuries, Rodon showed me nothing, and they don't have depth. And then you look at the bullpen. They traded everybody to get Soto. I know they got Ferguson from the Dodgers. I do kind of like that deal, by the way. But then it's the same problem as a rotation. And then I look at Baltimore, new ownership, and they get Corbin Burns. And again, the AL's kind of a lot better, I think, than last year overall, right? So why am I feeling anything besides what you and I have talked about with Cashman running things? Why is it different? Why? Just give me something. I got nothing here.
Yeah. The lineup should be better with Soto. He's an incredible talent. There's no question about it. You would expect that Volpe's going to be better. Wells is going to be better. Your young guys and stuff.
Neighbor stays, maybe.
Yeah, but what concerns me most about this team is the pitching. Rodon could wind up being, a worse acquisition, maybe the worst of all time for Cashman. He has that potential. It's $160 million, Mike. $160 million. And, so if he's just a dog, he doesn't ever, get back to his form, which is a, distinct possibility. What a horrible, move that was, and the implications. Now, Cortez. Here's the thing with, I'm looking at the Yankees. Here's the thing that you've got so many question marks, and if all the question marks were to be answered, this team could win the World Series. Right. There's too many question marks. I mean, Rodon, Cortez. Clark Schmidt looks like he has an awful lot of talent and potential, but there's still potential.
Age and injuries every year.
And Mike, and you're gonna put Judge in center field. Judge is, he's got an injury history.
31.
He's 32?
32,
yeah. And that's a lot of ground to cover. Now, I know he's gonna, they're gonna supplement. They got extra guys, and he's got a caddy to play center field for him, and he can DH. I get all that. But that's still a lot of wear and tear on him. And again, Judge is a great athlete. It's not that he can't play. He can play it exceptionally well, better than average. He can play center field. I get all that, but I think you're really playing with fire here. I think, and the other question marks, like, if Anthony Rizzo comes back and is the Anthony, that's great. That's great. You got more balance now. You got more lefties in your lineup, which you should have had from the start because you're in Yankee Stadium with a short porch. Come on, guys, when you're building a team. Does anybody really expect, anything from Stanton?
Never.
I mean, come on. We really think I'm going to work in the off season and I'm not going to keep swinging it at that low and away that's a foot outside the plate, right? So I don't know. I'm going to keep hope. It's spring. Pitchers and catchers are getting ready, and I love this time of year. But there's an awful lot of questions that have to be answered in order for it to work out.
Yeah, I agree with you. The long line of questions are still there, and they will be there over the course of 162 games, no doubt about it. Scott Pitoniak, the best-selling author and sports columnist, Rochester Business Journal, covering the Bills for decades, sports for a long, long time. Go get all of his books, nearby bookstores, Amazon.com, and more, including this one, Invisible No More, the historical novel. Wilmeth Sadet Singh. I cannot wait to dive into this thing. He's got a bunch of quotes and from some huge names and some forward information. And Don McPherson's in this thing. Mike Tirico's in this thing at the beginning. And if you want history, you want Syracuse history, nobody knows it better than this guy, Scott Pitoniak. So go get that book. Major bookstores and online where books are sold. And this interview is brought to you by our good friends at Rosie's Corner, Stanley Law Offices, and Welch & Company Jewelers. Go shop the showcase today at welchjewelers.com. Scott, great seeing you. And I'll be talking with you real soon. Cooperstown is coming up. You mentioned pitchers and catchers reporting. We haven't really had a lot of winter, although I probably just jinxed it. And hopefully I'll be out in Rochester soon, too. I'll pay you a visit, or if you're here, lunch is on me, my friend. Thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks as always, Mike. It's great to see you.